If you're retired or getting close to retirement, and you're thinking about taking a cruise in 2026, this video might be the most important one you watch before you book anything. The most popular cruise line among retirees is also the one I would never recommend. And I do not say that lightly. I know that goes against everything your travel agent told you. I know it is not what the brochures say. And I know that some of you watching this right now have already booked with them. And you're going to feel uncomfortable when I explain why. But that discomfort is exactly why this video matters. Because right now, millions of retirees are spending their hard-earned retirement savings on a cruise experience that was never designed for them. And they do not know it until they are already on board. Today, I am ranking the 8 major cruise lines from worst to best, specifically for retirees. And I promise you, by the time we are done, you will never book the wrong one again. Welcome on board, friends. If this is your first time here, this channel is dedicated entirely to helping retirees travel smarter, spend less, and actually enjoy every moment on board. Okay, let's get started on today's adventure. I have spent months researching, comparing, and yes, personally testing these cruise lines through the lens of what actually matters to us. Not the flashy water slides, not the DJ nights by the pool. What matters is comfort, value, accessibility, and peace of mind. So here is exactly how I ranked these 8 cruise lines. I used 6 criteria, and I weighted each one based on what I hear from retirees most often. Number 1, real price, not the advertised price, but what you actually pay when you add gratuities, drinks, Wi-Fi, and excursions. Number 2, onboard pace, how rushed or relaxed the experience feels day to day. Number 3, accessibility, for those of us who may have knee issues, mobility needs, or simply do not want to climb too many stairs to get to dinner. Number 4, average passenger age. The ship's environment plays a huge role in your experience. Number 5, medical services. What happens if you need a doctor while at sea? And last but not less, number 6, cancellation flexibility, because you never know what tomorrow might bring. All right, let's kick things off with our least favorite. And I will tell you right now, the cruise line in last place is one that many retirees still book every single year without realizing what they are walking into. Position number 8, the one I would least recommend to any retiree, is Carnival Cruise Line. Now, I want to be fair here. Carnival is an excellent cruise line for a very specific type of traveler. If you have young grandchildren and want to cruise with the whole family, Carnival can work. But for retirees traveling without kids, I have real concerns. Here is the reality. Carnival markets itself as a budget-friendly option, and the base price is genuinely low. You can find 7-day Caribbean cruises starting around $400 to $600 per person. That sounds great. But here is where it falls apart for us. The average passenger age on Carnival is one of the youngest in the industry, typically in the mid-30s to early 40s. The ships are enormous. Some carry over 6,000 passengers. The entertainment runs late into the night. The atmosphere is loud, energetic, and at times chaotic. For a 25-year-old, that may sound exciting. But for someone in their 60s, someone who spent decades working hard and is finally looking for peace and relaxation, it can quickly become overwhelming. Add to that, Carnival's accessibility options, while improving, still fall behind several competitors, and the onboard medical facilities on the ships I reviewed are more limited compared to those on premium cruise lines. Bottom line, Carnival is not designed with retirees in mind. It is designed for maximum volume at minimum cost. Position number 7 is MSC Cruises. MSC is a European line that has grown enormously in the American market, and honestly, it has some things going for it. The ships are beautiful, newer, and the prices are competitive. But here is my concern for retirees. MSC's service culture is inconsistent. For American retirees in particular, it often feels like European passengers get all the attention. The staff-to-passenger ratio is lower than competitors at similar price points, and customer service issues such as billing errors and cabin mix-ups are common enough that I cannot comfortably recommend it. If you are an experienced traveler who is comfortable speaking up for yourself, MSC might work for you. But for a first or second retirement cruise, there are better value options in the same price range. And speaking of better options, positions 6 and 5 are where it gets genuinely interesting. Because one of them has a reputation among retirees that is completely undeserved. And the other is more retiree-friendly than most people realize. Position number 6 is Norwegian Cruise Line, also known as NCL. Now, Norwegian has built its brand around something called freestyle cruising, the idea that there are no fixed dining times, no formal dress codes, no structured schedule. You eat when you want, do what you want. For some retirees, that sounds perfect, and for those of you who are independent, flexible, and do not like routines, Norwegian is worth a look. But here is my concern, and it is a real one. Norwegian's freestyle approach also means its ships are some of the busiest, most activity-packed vessels on the ocean. The newest ships, like the Norwegian Aqua and Viva, carry 3,000 to 3,600 passengers. There are constant announcements. Entertainment is everywhere. It can feel like a floating Las Vegas. Additionally, Norwegian's drink packages, specialty dining, and Wi-Fi are almost never included in the base fare, which means the real cost can be $400 to $600 per person higher than what is advertised once you add everything up. Norwegian earns position 6 because it genuinely works well for active social retirees who want variety and flexibility, but it is not the serene, peaceful experience that many of us are looking for after 40 years of working. Position number 5 is Royal Caribbean. And this is the line I mentioned that has an undeserved reputation because many retirees write off Royal Caribbean as too big or too young, and I understand why. Royal Caribbean's newest ships, the Utopia of the Seas, the Star of the Seas, are genuinely massive. Over 5,000 passengers, water slides, surfing simulators. It sounds like it is for teenagers. But here is what most people do not know. Royal Caribbean also operates a fleet of older mid-sized ships, the Radiance class, the Vision class, that carry 2,000 to 2,500 passengers in a much more relaxed environment. These ships sail beautiful itineraries, Alaska, the Mediterranean, the Pacific coast. If you deliberately choose one of these smaller Royal Caribbean ships and avoid the mega vessels, your experience changes completely. Royal Caribbean also has some of the best loyalty programs in the industry. Their Crown and Anchor Society offers genuine discounts, onboard credits, and priority boarding after your first cruise. For retirees who plan to cruise more than once, which most of you will, that loyalty program adds up to real money. Position 5. A solid choice if you know which ships to choose. Position number 4 is Celebrity Cruises. Celebrity is owned by Royal Caribbean Group, but it offers a completely different experience. And I believe it is one of the best-kept secrets in cruising for retirees. Celebrity markets itself as a premium cruise line, which leads many retirees to assume it is out of their budget. That is the misconception I want to correct right now. Yes, Celebrity's base fares are slightly higher than Carnival or Norwegian, but here is the key difference. Celebrity very frequently runs promotions where drinks, Wi-Fi, tips, and sometimes even flights are included in the base price. When you compare apples to apples, looking at the total out-of-pocket cost, Celebrity often comes out close to Norwegian or Royal Caribbean, but with a significantly better experience. The ships are elegant without feeling stuffy. The average passenger age is also one of the highest among mainstream cruise lines, typically in the mid to late 50s. The service is genuinely excellent, and the food, especially in the main dining rooms, is several steps above what you will find on Carnival or Norwegian. Celebrity also excels when it comes to destinations. They sail to places like Iceland, the Galapagos, and Japan. itineraries that appeal to sophisticated retirees who have already experienced the Caribbean and want something more unique. If you are looking for a premium cruise experience without the Viking price tag, Celebrity is your answer. Position number 3 is Princess Cruises. Princess holds a special place in my heart, and I believe it earns this position because of one thing above all else: balance. It is not the least expensive cruise line, and it is not the most luxurious. But Princess has spent decades refining the experience of a moderately priced cruise that feels far more upscale than its price would suggest. The average passenger age on Princess is consistently in the high 50s to early 60s, making it one of the most comfortable and compatible environments for retirees. The pace on board is genuinely relaxed. Formal nights exist but feel elegant rather than obligatory. The enrichment programs, lectures, cooking demonstrations, and cultural presentations are consistently praised by older travelers. Princess also offers one of the strongest accessible cabin programs in the industry. If you or your travel companion have any mobility considerations, Princess has thought through those needs more carefully than most. A very solid number 3. Now, let's move on to positions 2 and 1. These are the 2 cruise lines I would genuinely feel comfortable recommending to my own retired friends, but for very different reasons. And one of them requires an honest conversation about budget. Position number 2 is Holland America Line. Holland America has been sailing for over 150 years. And if there is one cruise line in the world that has genuinely built its identity around the needs of older, experienced travelers, it is this one. The average passenger age on Holland America is consistently in the early to mid-60s, the highest of any mainstream cruise line. That is not a coincidence. It is by design. Holland America ships are mid-sized, typically 2,000 to 2,600 passengers, which means they access ports that megaships cannot reach, and the onboard atmosphere is calm, unhurried, and civilized. The cabins are spacious and well-designed. The dining rooms offer open seating or fixed-time dining, your choice. And Holland America's world-class culinary programs, where guests attend cooking demonstrations from real chefs, has become one of the most beloved features among retirees. Medically, Holland America is strong. They have fully staffed medical centers on every ship, and their health protocols are among the most thorough in the industry. For retirees with chronic conditions who still want to travel, that matters enormously. Now, the price. Holland America positions itself as premium but not luxury. You are looking at roughly $150 to $250 per person per day for a balcony cabin on a 7-day cruise, once everything is factored in. That is a real number. But for many retirees who have worked hard and saved well, it is absolutely justified. That brings us to position number 2. For the large majority of retirees watching this video, this is my real recommendation. And position number 1 is Viking. Now, before I say anything else, Viking is expensive. I am not going to pretend otherwise. A 7-day Viking ocean cruise runs roughly $4,000 to $7,000 per person, depending on the cabin and itinerary. A longer world voyage can exceed $30,000 per person. But here is the thing, and I want you to hear this clearly. Viking is the only cruise line in this ranking where the price you see is genuinely close to the price you pay. Everything is included: drinks, Wi-Fi, gratuities, shore excursions, and specialty dining, not as add-ons, not as promotions, but as a standard part of every booking. When you do the actual math, total cost per day, per person, including all the extras, Viking often comes within $50 to $100 per day of Holland America or Princess when you calculate what you would spend on those lines for the same inclusions. But beyond the financial equation, the Viking experience is designed exclusively for adults. There are no children under 18. That is an official policy. The average passenger age is consistently in the mid to upper 60s. The ships carry only 930 passengers, intimate, quiet, and never overwhelming. The itineraries are intellectually designed, Viking partners with PBEV and the Smithsonian for onboard programming, documentary screenings, and destination-specific lectures before each port. For retirees who want their travel to mean something, not just visit a beach, Viking is in a category of its own. Is Viking for everyone? No. If your retirement budget is tight, Holland America gives you 85% of the experience at 60% of the price, and that is absolutely the right choice. But if you have worked hard your entire life, you have saved responsibly, and you want, just once, the finest cruise experience available to retirees in 2026, Viking is number one, and I do not think it is particularly close. Now, before you go booking any of these lines, I want to share 3 things that every retiree must verify before signing any cruise contract. These apply regardless of which line you choose, and skipping even one of them can cost you thousands of dollars or ruin your trip entirely. All right, 3 things. Write these down if you need to. Number 1, travel insurance, and specifically what it covers medically. Medicare, the health insurance most Americans over 65 have, covers almost nothing outside the United States. Once that ship leaves port, you are essentially without domestic health coverage. A basic travel insurance policy that includes medical evacuation is not optional for retirees. It is essential. The cruise line's own travel protection plans, the ones they offer when you book, are almost always the most expensive and the least comprehensive. Shop independently. Websites such as Insure My Trip and Squaremouth make it very easy to compare travel insurance policies in just a few minutes. Number 2, the single supplement, if you are traveling alone. Most cruise lines price their cabins based on double occupancy, meaning 2 people sharing one room. If you are traveling alone, many cruise lines charge what is known as a single supplement, which means you pay anywhere from 50 to 100% more than half the double occupancy rate. In practical terms, you are often paying nearly the full cost of the cabin yourself. Norwegian Cruise Line is the notable exception. They have an entire category of cabins called studio cabins, specifically designed and priced for solo travelers, no single supplement. If you are cruising alone, Norwegian studio cabins move them from position 6 on this list to a genuine consideration. Always ask specifically, what is the single supplement rate for this cabin, before you book. Number 3, cancellation flexibility. Life changes, health changes, plans change, and as retirees, we understand this better than most. Before you book any cruise, make sure you understand exactly what happens if you need to cancel. Most cruise lines use a tiered cancellation penalty schedule. The closer to the departure date, the higher the penalty. Within 14 to 30 days of departure, you may lose anywhere from 75 to 100% of the cruise fare. The 2 ways to protect yourself. First, book a refundable fare. Yes, it usually costs a bit more upfront. Second, consider purchasing a cancel for any reason travel insurance upgrade, which may reimburse a portion of your prepaid trip costs if you decide not to travel. Some cruise lines, including Viking and Celebrity, have occasionally offered more flexible cancellation options or promotional policies that appeal to retirees, while budget-focused lines such as Carnival and Norwegian often maintain stricter fare rules. These 3 topics, medical coverage, understanding the single supplement, and cancellation flexibility, are not the most exciting parts of planning a cruise. But paying attention to them can make the difference between a wonderful vacation and a very expensive mistake. And now, let me bring it all together for you in a quick recap. And I'll also share the one number that surprised me most when I compared the real overall costs. All right, here is your complete ranking, from worst to best, specifically for retirees in 2026. Position 8, Carnival Cruise Line. Loud, crowded, designed for a younger demographic. Not the right environment for most retirees. Position 7, MSC Cruises. beautiful ships but inconsistent service for American senior travelers. Position 6, Norwegian Cruise Line, flexible and entertaining, but expensive once you add the extras, and the atmosphere can feel overwhelming. Exception, studio cabins for solo travelers. Position 5, Royal Caribbean, better than many people expect, especially if you choose the mid-sized ships rather than the massive resort-style vessels. Position 4, Celebrity Cruises, the most underrated value in premium cruising. Excellent food, elegant atmosphere, and frequent all-inclusive promotions. Position 3, Princess Cruises, an excellent balance of comfort, value, accessibility, and a relaxed onboard atmosphere that appeals strongly to retirees. Position 2, Holland America, my recommendation for the majority of retirees, experienced, mature, comfortable, and thoughtfully designed for this stage of life. Position 1, Viking, the gold standard, all-inclusive, adults-only, intellectually enriching, and, when you do the full math, closer in value to Holland America than most people expect. And the number that surprised me most? When I calculated the true all-in cost per person per day, including drinks, gratuities, excursions, and Wi-Fi, Viking came in at roughly $380 to $450 per day. Holland America, fully loaded with the same inclusions, came in at $290 to $360. That gap is real, but for many retirees, $60 to $90 per day is the difference between good and extraordinary. Only you can decide if that is worth it. Here is my question for you. Which cruise line have you sailed with, and would you sail with them again as a retiree? Share your story in the comments. I read every single one, and your real-world experiences help everyone in this community make better decisions. If you found this video useful, if it saved you from booking the wrong cruise or helped you feel more confident about your options, a simple thumbs up takes 2 seconds and genuinely helps this channel reach more retirees who need this kind of information. And if you want to keep learning how to travel smarter, spend less, and enjoy every moment of this chapter of your life, make sure to hit subscribe. We publish new videos every week, specifically for people like you. Thank you so much for watching. Travel well. You have earned it.